At some point in the last year or so, this congregation began the work of transition, a movement from wherever we were, wherever we're going. Of course, we're always moving from one place to another, but when we talk about our transition work, we mean deliberate movement, informed movement that recovers and implements our spiritual mission. Now, our new ministers are committed to assist us in this transition work, and the board has asked a group of us, the transition team, to work with our ministers. Reverend Tovis will be talking about some of that work today, and I bet Reverend Terry talks about it more in 2 weeks. So I'm not going to outline some big plan, because I don't want to steal their thunder. And besides, there is no big plan yet. But there's a little plan, and that little plan has 2 pieces. The first is to make a plan, and the other is to begin the work we already know we want to do. And that work is to start going forward by first looking backward. When we love someone, we look at them. And we understand that love is something we do, not just something that happens to us. We understand that the act of looking, the effort of perceiving and knowing are a big part of the act of loving. Indeed, knowing and loving are sometimes synonyms in the Bible. Or to use another biblical term, to hold our community, we must behold it. William Carlos Williams tells us in his poem of Asphodel that if we are to understand our time, we must find the key to it, not in the 18th and 19th centuries, but in earlier, wilder, darker epochs. In Annals of the Former World, John McPhee takes us back to those earlier, wilder times that created our deepest foundations, our geological foundations. He does this by attending to road cuts in Pennsylvania, basins and ranges in Nevada, and gold deposits in the Sierra foothills as he travels across the country. For a geologist, the interesting thing about our Earth is its formation. Like geologists, we may need to discern our terrain through its formation over time. Our heritage was formed in part by the free flow of igneous spirits when our church began and when we have undertaken vital new efforts. Our heritage was also formed by the sedimentary layers of ritual, worship, and caring, week in and week out, that have cemented together our generation of congregants, leaders, and ministers. And our heritage was formed by the slow metamorphosis of these layers under the pressure of our lives together, whether well-lived or not. There's a lot of foundation to uncover here. In another poem, also starring a flower, called A Sort of Song, William Carlos Williams suggests what may come from our efforts to compose a sense of ourselves by reconciling our people to their foundation. He writes, "Let the snake wait under his weed, and the writing be of words, slow and quick, sharp to strike, quiet to wait, sleepless. Through metaphor to reconcile the people and the stones. Compose, no ideas but in things. Invent. Saxifrage is my flower that splits the rocks." Looking at our past and composing our history through metaphor, image, and narrative, that's our opportunity to invent ourselves. We are, of course, constrained by the layers of rock that have already been set down, so we will have to reconcile the people and the stones. But Williams reminds us that in this process, even the modest saxifrage can split rock and bring forth a flower.